Hello, this is Josh Bycer from GameWisdom.com. Welcome to today's Critical Thought. And originally it was going to be more about the peripheral genre, but I was thinking more about the strategy RPGs from This America and Nipponichi since I'm doing the Let's Break on Disgaea. And it made me think about one of the things that has really died over the last, I want to say the last decade at this point. And that is the use of strategy guides, or their creation, their formation. There's still a few companies out there. I think Prima Guides is still there, but in terms of the ones I remember to be like of the highest quality, they have seemed to have all but disappeared. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. My props for today are going to be some of my guys from DoubleJump, which I'll mention them in a few minutes. Back in the good old days of the late 80s and through into the 90s, there was no internet, no game facts, let's plays, or anything like that to tell you how a game would be solved. So if you got stuck on them, there was basically three options. Hope a magazine prints like a little how-to, have someone, come and help you, or you bought the player's guide from Nintendo. And Nintendo was one of the first companies to really do that and essentially try and double dip, because you could buy the game, you could also buy the guide as well. And Nintendo guides, of course, ran the gamut of the information of what they provided. Guides for like action games like Ninja Gaiden basically just gave you a walkthrough of A to B on each level. When we got to some of the more complex guides, such as the Final Fantasies, they offered even more information. But it was still kept relatively, I guess, I'm trying to think of the word I want to use, maybe plain. It didn't go too specific into mechanics or how to play the game. It just mainly gave you the, go from here to here to here to here, and that's how you beat the game. The first time that I really saw a high quality guide, or one that was a little bit more different, was from Earthbound. And Earthbound was special for Nintendo. This was not only a very highly anticipated game, but this was the first time that a game was released in the United States, at least to my knowledge, that came with just simply the player's guide instead of an actual manual, because they assumed that people weren't going to figure the game out. And the guide was actually pretty high quality, featuring a lot of lore, and was made to be sort of like a quote-unquote travel guide to the game. Still, it kept in like the basics. There was a list of items, enemies, stuff like that. But in terms of getting deep into the games, that wasn't going to be here. And the same could still be said of the Prima guides, at least during the late 90s into the thousands. Their guides, again, were very bare bones, simply just a walkthrough of the game. Now, one of the first companies to start to experiment with more of the high quality guides was Bradley, I believe. Let me just do a quick Google here. And this was very back in the day. I believe they may have got bought out by Prima, but the Bradley guides were, or Bradley or Brady, I forget the actual name. They were their little, I guess, contribution to players' guides was having the special edition guides. These were like hardbound or just massive guides with maybe better art, better coloring, stuff like that. And again, these guides were kept basic, but they covered a wide variety of games. There was, Metal Gear, so many of the Mario games, and etc. Now, what was interesting about the player's guide market, or the strategy guide market, was how a lot of companies did try and compete, especially with the big name games. So when there was a Mario game, you were going to find a few guides from Mario. There was, I think, one from Nintendo, there's one from Prima, and I think there was even one from Bradley at the time. So what happened was around the time of Disgaea and This America, one second, I actually have to sneeze. Ooh, sorry about that. A new company sort of appeared on the scene, and that was DoubleJump Books. And their MO was basically not just going for telling the player how to play through the game or the secrets, but how to master the game. And that's where things get very interesting in terms of their design. I'm going to see if, again, my camera sucks, but if you can look at this, let's see if I can zoom in. You probably won't see the actual text here, but their guides not only tell you how to play the game, but they give you a breakdown of everything. What are all the weapon types? What are their stats? What do the stats mean? All the classes of enemies. It just gets insane, the detail. There's more information in these guides that you would probably ever want to even know about these games. And one of the things I do appreciate about their guides, and let me see if I can pull this one out here without knocking over my whole little stack. And I mentioned this when we talked about Disgaea, is that not only do these guides give you a breakdown of how to play through, but they give basically a crash course on all the mechanics and basically the synergies and growth that you can expect. There's always the advanced section here, which I'm trying to pull up. And these parts, again, for the novice player or someone just getting into them, you would never look at the advanced section. This is the expert, this is sort of like the teacher's guide in like in the textbooks back in school. And what they did, and what I really appreciate, is that not only did they talk about how to play the game, but they talked about how to understand the mechanics. And I think that's one of the things that was really missing from strategy guides throughout the day. They gave you the basic controls. They gave you, you know, this is how you fight a boss, this is what a fire spell does. But in terms of teaching the player how to use all this stuff for crazy means, a lot of guides never went into that. Now, to be fair, most games being released never had that kind of depth to them. So when Disgaea and the rest of Miss America's catalog started coming out, DoubleJump basically created their own little niche and popularized themselves around it. It got so great that they even were tasked to do the Demon Souls player's guide that came with the, I think, the original US launch of the game. And again, the level of detail they went into is something that I really enjoy, and what I hopefully am trying to instill with my Let's Breaks and my Spotlights of games. Where it's not just saying, oh, this is a platform, or this is how you fight an enemy, but talking about how these mechanics work. Why are they so interesting? What's the thought process around them? And DoubleJump, again, they basically cornered the market on that. And they became the top tier strategy guide company for pretty much most of the thousands. So, this is the part where it's time to answer the big question, what happened? And what happened simply was two words, or, well, one word, YouTube. With the rise of the YouTuber generation and Let's Plays and the like, suddenly the DoubleJump books were considered second place. Again, video is wonderful for being able to explain and show mechanics. It's why right now there are probably hundreds of thousands of tutorials and walkthroughs on YouTube right now. And while the guides themselves were still amazing and still high quality, essentially someone was able to do it for far cheaper and less work. And sadly, DoubleJump did close their doors. I know a few of the people who were there did go to work at Prima Guides, which Prima, I can't always keep track of their pronunciation, did see a jump in quality in some extent following the closure of DoubleJump. But in terms of getting quality guides like these anymore, that is unfortunately not going to happen. And what really sucks is that Miss America continues to put out games. Like these guides, I think, go up to Disgaea 4, maybe? I think they did 4, but I don't remember. Actually, no, I think they stopped around 3. So to learn Disgaea 5 and whatever else they decide to throw at us, it's very hard to find guides on those games, especially the high quality stuff like DoubleJump. But we are approaching the end of this critical thought, so to wrap things up, for me, when I think of great strategy guides, not only do I think of having simply like how to get through the levels, but again to explain how these mechanics work. And while it may seem a little over the top, and even I barely use this stuff, having like full breakdowns is always a very important part. Again, for players who are like the novice and mid-tier, they're never going to look at this stuff beyond just, what's this boss do, how do I beat it? But to get that higher level of understanding and being able to break games down at really the finest detail you can get, you need that information. And for a time, DoubleJump was really the only ones who were able to do this and present in a way that was clear and concise. Obviously, GameFAQs has been around for a long time, and some of their users' guides are really amazing, but it's still very hard to present that in an easily digestible form compared to a book like this, or shall I say a brick of knowledge. Again, you can knock someone out with this stuff. As I said on my Disgaea Let's Breaks, I know that Phantom Brave is currently available as well, so I'm thinking about considering doing a Let's Break on that. And again, I'm going to probably have to reread this guide so I can know exactly what's going on and starting to understand the mechanics. And finally, as a really important point, especially for game developers, what these guides do really well is again explain the what, the how, and the why of these mechanics. And that's a very important consideration, especially for developers trying to build effective tutorials. As I said in previous posts, it's not about just showing the player what a mechanic is or what it does. You have to explain to them why they should use this and why there is value there, and especially how you can evolve them into, the synergies and the advanced play. This is true of any strategy game, especially the likes of the NIS America ones. But that's going to do it for today's Critical Thought. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below, and I will see you tomorrow with our next one, which I think it will be the Rise and Fall of Rock Band. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all then. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, of course, share with your friends. It always helps out. Check out game-wisdom.com, where I examine the art and science of games. You can follow me on Twitch and Twitter under GW Bycer for the latest updates of new content. And be sure to check out our Patreon campaign. You can find us on Patreon under Game Wisdom if you would like to donate and help contribute to keeping Game Wisdom going. Your donations can not only give us the monthly funding we need to keep supporting ourselves, but if we can hit some goals, it will mean more great content for you, and there are some nifty little rewards there as well. Thanks again for watching this video, and be sure to tune into the next one real soon.